So let's talk about something that's absolutely crucial for any innovator: how to build a minimum viable product, or an MVP, without hitting all the common traps that can completely sink a great idea. Let's dive right in. You know how it starts, right? You get that aha moment. That one idea you just can't shake. The one you're totally convinced is going to be a game changer. You're all fired up, and you are ready to build. But let's be real for a second. The road from a brilliant idea to a successful product, well, it's a minefield. It's a journey that can drain your time, your money, and leave you with, frankly, nothing. So the big question is, how do you prove your idea has legs without betting the whole farm? And the answer, my friends, is the MVP. Now hold on, this isn't about just building a cheap, stripped-down version of your dream product. No, it's a super powerful strategic tool. An MVP lets you get the absolute core of your idea into the hands of actual users so you can get priceless feedback and learn what they really care about before you go all in. It's the smart way to build. But even the smartest strategies have their pitfalls. Okay, the first major trap you can fall into is just losing focus. This is what happens when that crystal clear idea you started with gets all blurry and suddenly the project starts drifting away from its main goal. So what does this loss of focus actually look like? Well, first, you've got the monster called feature creep. It's that constant temptation to add just one more cool thing until your lean MVP is a bloated, confusing mess. Then there's the trap of obsessing over design instead of function. Look, a beautiful product that doesn't actually solve a problem is just a pretty piece of art. And finally, you've got the failure to think about scalability. You build something that's great for 10 users but completely falls apart at 100. You can really see the two paths here. On one side, you have a delayed, expensive product that doesn't even know what it is anymore. On the other, a disciplined, smart approach. The big lesson here is to be absolutely relentless in focusing on that one core function that solves your user's main problem. Keep the design simple, make sure it works, and build it in a way that you're ready for success when it comes. All right, let's talk about pitfall number 2. And honestly, this one might be the deadliest of them all: ignoring your users. If you build a product based on your own assumptions instead of real user needs, you're basically building it for nobody. This mistake pops up in a few classic ways. First, you just don't define who you're building for. I mean, you can't solve a problem if you don't know whose problem it is, right? Second, you fall for that if you build it, they will come fantasy, which leads to you way overestimating how many people actually want your product. And then the cardinal sin: you get feedback from users and you just ignore it. So how do you fix this? Well, what's great here is that we have a clear, actionable playbook. The solution is to become completely obsessed with your user. You got to do your homework first. Use surveys, interviews, whatever it takes to really get who your audience is. Then, before you even write a single line of code, test the waters with something simple like a landing page to see if people are interested. And once you've launched, user feedback needs to become the absolute center of your universe. Your goal is to build the product they want, not just the one you think they need. Okay, our final pitfall. This one isn't about what you build or for whom you're building. It's all about how you built it. A broken process can totally derail even the most amazing MVP. Let's break down the 2 process mistakes that can be just fatal. The first one is waiting too long to test and iterate. If you're chasing perfection right out of the gate, you could spend all your time and money perfecting the wrong thing. And that feeling, realizing you've solved the wrong problem when it's already too late, it's devastating. The second mistake is making your testing way too complicated. If you're drowning in a sea of confusing data, you're going to miss the simple golden nuggets of insight. The solution, then, is to embrace a lean, fast-moving process. Get that MVP, even with its rough edges and imperfections, in front of users as quickly as you possibly can. Use simple, direct tests to get clear feedback. Just remember, the goal here isn't perfection. It's all about learning and adapting as fast as you can. So we've looked at all these different traps and the ways to get around them. And when you step back, you realize that everything really boils down to one single powerful idea. You could call it the golden rule of MVP development. This is it. This is the whole ballgame right here. If you walk away with only one thing from this explainer, make it this. It's not a straight line to the finish. It's a cycle. Let's see how this actually works as a powerful loop. First, you build the smallest possible thing that solves that one core problem. Then, you test it with real people to see what they think. You learn from what they do, what they say, what they don't say. And then, And this is the most critical part, you do it all over again. You repeat the process, getting a little bit smarter and a whole lot closer to the right product with every single cycle. And that brings us to what might be the biggest mindset shift of all. An MVP isn't a final destination. It's not just a tiny version of your finished product. It's the beginning of a conversation with your users. It is a process that is designed for one thing and one thing only, to learn. So I'm going to leave you with a final, challenging question. I want you to take that brilliant idea of yours and be totally, brutally honest with yourself. If you strip away all the cool bells and whistles, all the nice-to-haves, what is the one single core problem that it truly solves? Because your answer to that question, that's where your entire journey should begin. Thanks for joining me.